It wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't meant to be. Fluminense and 𝙀𝙀𝙖𝙞𝙀𝙀 bow out of the FIFA Club World Cup in a 2-0 loss against Chelsea. And honestly, first and foremost, congratulations to Chelsea, being the first ever club to qualify for the final of the FIFA Club World Cup in this new edition. I thought they were deserved winners today. It was a comfortable win by Chelsea today. Measured, composed, didn't really need to go beyond the extra mile. It was a comfortable win. Not to say that they completely dominated, dog watered, Fluminense, but they were the better team clearly, and you see that they still had a couple of years to go through. But first and foremost, I'd like to go and because now with Fluminense getting knocked out, it means that we're going to have a guaranteed all-European final. And so with that, I just wanted to go and congratulate Fluminense for all their fans, supporters, so on and so forth, for bringing the joy, the music, the atmosphere to the games. They represented their club well. They represented Brazilian football well. They represented South American football well. And as a whole, they represented non-European football really well. I said in previous videos, I was really, I'll say, snobbish and arrogant about this Club World Cup coming into it, saying that I think European teams are going to absolutely dominate, that we're going to really see the gap in quality between European and non-European teams. And you could argue to a certain degree you did see that at times, but I think to basically everybody, I think you have to go and admit that this competition really did show that, okay, maybe the gap between European teams and non-European teams isn't as big as you made it out to be. And so for Fluminense, who are doing good, don't get me wrong, in Brazil, but at one point, before 𝙀𝙀𝙖𝙀𝙀 joined them, were in the relegation zone, went 10 wins without conceding a goal, 10 games without conceding a goal, thanks to El Capitano 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, who are, yes, a very good, Brazilian team, so on and so forth, but they're one of many great sides. Just goes to show that, football from outside of Europe can't tango with European football. That's on that aspect. Again, 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 once again, just, I don't know what more I can say about this guy. Yes, of course, today's team was on the losing end. Yes, he's, doesn't have the burst of pace and so on and so forth, but honestly, what a player. I said it before, I'll continue to say it again. 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 is top 5 center backs all time. He's not 5th. Well, you can put whoever you want, 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, so on and so forth. Is it a bit nostalgic perhaps? Maybe. But what a defender he was. To think that this guy is still playing at 40 years old. This guy started in his career like 2003 when I was born. We talk about, Cristiano's longevity, 100%. We talk about all these other players' longevity. 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 could legitimately, if he really wanted to, come back and play in some of the top European sides defensives. No joke. You put him in a good system where he's not exposed, where he's not having to run behind the goal, he could still play. So honestly, 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, what a player. Unfortunately, my dream of, a PSG Fluminense final, where ideally, obviously, PSG wins it, 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 comes, celebrates, lifts the trophy with PSG. It's not going to happen. But I do hope that, especially to get on to PSG, people say, why are you talking about PSG? PSG didn't play. I hope that people probably won't know this, but 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 never really got a proper farewell from PSG. And there's been, talks, with his camp, so on and so forth, that him and PSG are in discussions on holding a talk where a proper farewell where he gets the proper farewell from the Parc des Princes, from the supporters, so on and so forth. And especially with everything that the club's doing now and how good we are, 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀 is a crucial pioneer to where PSG are. So I hope that that's able to happen in the future. But to actually, discuss more of the game tactically, I think there's clear one man of the match here. And today it was João Pedro's day to come to make your first ever Chelsea start, to bag 2 goals against your former team, mind you. A team that I think he started at Fluminense at 2011, all the way to 2019, 8 years at the club he spent, to then go score against them. Obviously, humble gimmick, say I'm sorry. What a performance. I thought he was decent in his cameo appearance in the previous game against Palmeiras, but to then come on against your former club, to start, to get a brace, and to not just get, any type of brace, but to score, 2 absolute golazos, bombazos, smacked. First one, gets the ball, curler, nothing the keeper can do. Second one, goes, drives at the defender, cuts inside a bit, smacks it, bar down. Brilliant finishes. And obviously now, we're not going to go and say that, oh, it's done, so on and so forth. Obviously, there's the cultural zeitgeist, the moment of the culture. We'll have to wait and see. 1 good per game, 1 good performance doesn't automatically make the next great thing. But I think that potentially, if we see more performances like this from João Pedro, Chelsea may have something like their new Drogba. I'm going to say it's been a while since Chelsea have had a proper, if you want to go and say number 9 of Drogba's caliber. Because maybe their last good striker, so on and so forth, was Olivier Giroud. But we'll see. Overall, from Chelsea, I think they've been doing good. And Nkunku, I thought, was good. I think the overall team today was pretty good. I thought Cole Palmer today was a bit quiet. Didn't really need to do much. But once again, it's a performance where I think they were just better than the other team. Didn't really need to force their game too much. And it was a comfortable performance, easy win. And they move on, and they're the first finalists. And we'll await the winner of PSG versus Real Madrid. I want to talk about one, pretty key major effect in this game. Before I get onto the stats, was obviously we got in the first half the penalty shout that was canceled, and honestly, I'm torn about it because on the one hand, I can agree with the call. The call makes sense. Chalobah's arm is in a, we'll say, natural position. You'll go and say it's in the natural silhouette of the body. You could argue, right? It's not like his arm is well away. It's relatively near to his side. He's not moving it towards him. He's trying to move his hand behind his back, and it hits him. The issue, though, is that first and foremost, that it still hits his arm, and that if his arm is not there, it goes through, and there's a Fluminense player there who basically has an open net now. Does he score something? Who knows? But if his arm is not there, that ball is going further on target, and there's a potential tap in there for a Fluminense player. But for me, it's not even that. For me, the biggest thing is that it's a lack of consistency. I think IFAB, the people who organize the rules of the game, need to come out and actually make it clear. Because I think this, of all the rules, we can say whatever we want about VAR, this, that, and the other. But the handball rule, I think, is the one rule where as football fans, we need clarity. We need clarity for crying out loud. One game, that game, in another league, in another context, that's a penalty. No issues. Now, this game, it's not. So it's like, where's the consistency? I know there's different competitions will, rule handballs more leniently or more strictly, but we need some sort of, consistency. Because I remember there was a Jack Grealish one where he's jumping for the ball, it hits his arm, he's jumping, knows nothing about it. That's a penalty from really close range. Tchouaméni in the El Clasico is really close range, hits the back of his arm is behind his back. That's not a penalty. This is not a penalty. It's like, where's the consistency? Just have a rule where it's clear, it's consistent, so where you might, the point is, the issue is, if we're arguing over, we feel like the law is wrong, we disagree with the decision, fine. But if there's no consistency, if in one context it's given as a penalty, the other it's not, that's where there's an issue. But it's not an excuse, because Thiago Silva, he himself said it in his post-game interview, said that, yes, it probably would have changed the game. And I probably would agree at that point. It was in the 36th minute. You get back 18 minutes or so after Chelsea had scored. They get back in the game. Who knows what happens afterwards. But Thiago Silva himself said it, that realistically speaking, probably wouldn't have changed. I think Chelsea was just dominant team, and they probably still would have gone on to win. But it's just, we want some consistency. And just because your team wins, or just because, the score doesn't go your way, I think you still are able to address refereeing decisions you think are suspect or questionable at the very least. Other than that, if we go and you look at the stats, once again, it was a pretty comfortable performance by Chelsea in the end. Had most of the possession, had a higher XG, more shots on target, more shots in outright, more passes. It was just a comfortable performance by them. They didn't completely dominate, completely shatter. Fluminense were in the game. They had opportunities as well. But just generally speaking, you just saw that Chelsea were a quicker, fresher. If I'm not mistaken, Fluminense in this Club World Cup, they only won games when they were leading. So as soon as they went down, it's hard for them to really come back and be able to go and score. Maybe at 1-0, you could say, okay, if they get a goal, maybe there's something in it. But after that, it's typically, they've been a team that is really, 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 really solid defensively. And when they score, they are really hard to break down. And I think is probably their strength. But the issue is, though, is that then if they do go down, it's hard for them to go and project themselves forward. There was so many times where they're on a counterattack, and the players running behind, getting there first are the Chelsea defensive players. Yes, Chelsea's a younger team, and I think that's probably one of the things that's really, done Fluminense wrong in this tournament, is that they've got a really, really old squad. If I go in and look, I'm not even looked at it per se, but if you go on and I look here on FotMob, the average age of all the players here is 31.7. They got a 44-year-old keeper, 40-year-old center back in Thiago Silva. Santos is 35. René is 32. They've got Cano at 37. And then obviously then you got, Donato, Arias, Guga, that are, middle-aged, so on and so forth. But it's a pretty old, aging squad that I think struggled then when it came to, projecting themselves forward today. Of course, you compare that to Chelsea, where their average age is 25.3, and their oldest player in the squad is 27 in Tosin, and Sanchez, who in this squad would be, if I'm not mistaken, the second, third oldest players to go into show where for Fluminense. But yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Chelsea do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, regardless of who goes through between PSG and Real Madrid, I think most likely Chelsea aren't favorites to go and win it. But hey, it's a game of football. It's 90 minutes. Anything can happen, and we'll have to wait and see. The tournament, it's interesting. You saw the MetLife Stadium was completely full, packed, and I'm assuming it's going to be similar for the PSG game. And I think we're going to have a cheeky final on our hands, regardless of who plays. But yeah, that's it for me. It's unfortunate. I would have wanted Fluminense to go, and I think they were, everybody wanted the underdog. But hey, congratulations to Chelsea, and they find themselves in a final. People are going to go and say, "Oh, look at the teams they've had to go through, this, that, and the other." If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they've had to play a single European team thus far. But hey, you can only beat the teams in front of you. We can go and say whatnot. You can only beat the teams in front of you. They've beaten everybody they could. That's all you can ask from them. And we'll have to wait and see what happens in the final. But anyways, guys, thank you guys very much for listening to the video. It's been a pleasure as always, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next couple of videos. Stay tuned for tomorrow's specific stream, PSG Real Madrid. But anyways, guys, thank you very much. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay blessed. Godspeed.